Hello and welcome to Technology, the Conduit for Hospitality Training. I'm Allie Green, and you have Danny Crimson in front of you, so thank you, Danny, for being there. I am currently in Singapore, actually doing some research and teaching over here about hospitality learners, which is very interesting. So the timing is a little bit different. I couldn't be in two places at the same time. However, I wanted to share with you what I'm doing because it's very exciting. So I'm looking for a different approach and what's out there. And this presentation is going to go through understanding the key terms in my model, the methodology, and then, of course, the expectations on the outcome. My model, I have instructional systems design, adult learning theory, and Web 2.0. They're all put together with how we deliver that, which is the technology. So I'd like to go through defining each of those parts, if you will.
Einstein. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. I think we do that far too often in training, especially in hospitality training, when we think we have it down. However, we do the same thing and we expect that our learners go back and do something different. And so this is a great quote that I thought I would start out with. I want to talk about, though, some definitions from where I'm going with my research or my proposed research with training and what's going on in real life hospitality situations and what they're doing as far as the design of their training. I want to introduce adult learning theory, which is andragogy. And there are several different adult learning theories, but I'm going to focus in on andragogy first because I do not think we know enough about it in designing training. And so I would like to go through that real quickly. So first of all, andragogy is adults need to know the reason for why they are learning something. So they need to be in the know, right? As adults, they want to know why they're being trained. They want to know how it's going to be done. They also bring unique experiences into our training room, whether it be online or face-to-face platforms. Adults are adults, and they come with a special set of experiences, whether it be inside or outside of their specific job that they're being trained for. We tend to forget that, and we tend to forget about their experience and how it applies into what we are teaching them at that time. And we think that they don't have any experience, life experience, etc., etc. So it's really important in this is that we provide a foundation of their experience. The next thing is that adults need to be responsible for their decisions on education. We need to bring them into the loop on how they're going to be trained and do a plan for them as far as including them into a planning process of how the strategies of training will take place during their time in that position or with the organizations. And we know that adults are most interested in learning subjects that have immediate relevance. So it's the readiness. It is about, hey, we're going to learn something. I want to go right back and I want to apply it into my hotel, right? The readiness is essential. However, what we do many of times is, here you're going to learn it, and you know what? You go back and you may or may not apply it. It doesn't matter, but it's really important that you go through a half-day session on something or an online session. But most of our adults, they want to be able to apply it immediately when they get back. And then learning is problem-based, right? And this is the problem. It is problem-based because we are in a society where we're saying, okay, so content-based is more of the linear, where it comes in chunks of information, where problem is real life that can go back again, goes back definitely respond better to internal motivators versus the external motivators when it comes to learning. Let's move on to Web 2.0 as part of this, what I'm presenting, is, as we know, Web 2.0 has been around for quite some time. The platform itself is very commonplace. However, people don't look at it as Web 2.0. They may think of Twitter, they may think of Facebook, they may think of blogs, they may think et cetera, but they don't go back to this is the Web 2.0 platform. What this has done, what Web 2.0 has accomplished, and especially when it comes down to training, is that our training now has to be global. We have to engage all of our learners, and we have to then connect everything together. And it's essential that the engagement and the connection come through the training. In addition, Web 2.0, we now are expecting so much. We expect everything at our fingertips. And we expect that if we want training, for it to be online and ready to go. We expect that we have information at our fingertips. The biggest thing with Web 2.0, it has made our organizations, and especially our learning organizations, collaborative. And we all know that this is a buzzword, if you will, in training, but it's about collaboration. It's about being collaborative. But truth be told is that the Web 2.0 has connected us, and we expect collaboration. We expect to reach out to other people and help us with something. The next is instructional systems design, and this is very scientific how we write our training. And so how we write our training is in ISD, it is specific, it is step-by-step. It is one of the most famous models is, of course, the ADDIE model. And I was introduced at ASTD this year to the SAM model, which is coming up. You know, it's again, it is about improving or enhancing performance on the job. It is cognitive, social, physical, and spiritual. One of my favorite all-time models is lesser known, but equally as good, is the ARCS model. And this one is by Keller. And what it says is it speaks to motivation, and it speaks to how do we motivate our hospitality employees a little bit better. But instructional systems design is this. It's very linear. And from our point, it is you write design analyzing what's going on with it. So what's the situation? Where are we at today? And then we do modules, very linear modules. And we say you learn this first, this second, this third, this fourth. And then again, like go back to the hotel. Yay, we understand it. However, in instructional systems design, typically what happens is the motivation is lost somewhere along the line. And it does not include specific adult learning theory.
So how are we going to accomplish this? What we're going to do is, first of all, focus only on corporate hospitality training and focus on those that have a formal program going on and they do formal instructional design and follow a process. And so that's very limited when it comes to larger hospitality organizations. And so the insight will probably be from large franchisor organizations. And then also part of what is not important is the delivery mode. So we're going to look at both the face-to-face or online, which also could include mobile. So as far as the delivery, that's not as important, and we're not looking for that. But what I'm looking at are organizations that actually have formal ISD writing. And how are we going to do this? It's quantitative. First of all, we're going to do an online survey. I use Qualtrics, and I'm going to gather what their current training design has and how they're incorporating any type of special items into there. And then we're going to do a pre and post test with the current design at the end to the learners, and then go back in and incorporate. What we're going to do is incorporate some of the design to include andragogy and Web 2.0 applications. Specifically, what I would like to see the organizations do is to include blogs, wikis, and podcasts. The reason for this is it goes directly back to adult learning theory and goes in very nicely. And then after we do the, after we implement what we have done, go back and do the pre and post test with the new design for the learners. And then I'm going to compare the two groups. But also, the quantitative is great. However, we need to really dig in and figure out what our learners like, what is making it to the organization, or the transfer of training is also how we can look at it. So we need to do a little bit of qualitative. So we're going to collect some of the data from the instructional designers as to how it was to incorporate the adult learning theory and Web 2.0 applications. Do they see a value? Because if they don't see a value in it, or if they see that it doesn't make sense, then along the line that's not going to hit the learners. And then of course going to the learners to find out what they thought of the training, what they think of either creating blogs or being part of blogs, or how blogs are used in training, which could be onboarding, orientation, and things like that. So the time frame that I'm looking at with the research team to do this is over the next year, once we get it set up, because what I would love to see is the technology is really important in how the training is going to be completed. And with the 3 different ways of the Web 2.0, including adult learning theory, and the instructional design, I think this can be accomplished and tested in one class, and then we'll see where it goes from there. So those are the what is the timeline and expectations, and that's it. So I thank you very much, and if I can get in on Skype, I will be there to answer some questions.